Hello everybody! In today's video I will show you my new Bard DPS build. It will be really different from the normal fighter build that I show. It will be the first ever, maybe, recorded DPS Bard build on YouTube, because I haven't seen any other builds that showcase the Bard DPS. I saw a lot of healer builds and such, but never a good DPS single target for trials like Tom or Zariel. So that will be oriented towards Zariel and Tom. And just a little this, like I would just say something really quick. The Bard is really strong on single target compared to what other people are saying, that it says that it lack burst damage, is really bad at DPS, but if played well it can be really good. Also, another thing to say is that the Bard is a team effort, so it buffs the team, it gives benefits to the team. So if you think that the Bard is a DPS class that will just top the DPS Bard every time because it's selfish, don't think about that. The Bard gives buffs to the team that doesn't give it to yourself. So there are some buffs that only benefits from the team, but not that doesn't give it to you. So think about that when you do a Bard, it's for the team. So let's start. So for the quick thing here, the quick slots, just use the stuff that I already have, like the Bell of Empowerment, the other thing, what is called the Forger box, that I need to level up, but it takes some time to level up. But if you have other stuff, it doesn't really matter, and I use a Hellstone there. Also for the buffs, I don't have any buff activated right now, but when I do, I use the old Watermelon Sorbet. Personally, I have tons of stack that I'm not selling, that I just keep it for myself, so I have kind of infinite amount of Watermelon for myself. And the Flask of Potency for the 5% crit severity, even though on the Bard you don't really need the critical severity, because you get tons of critical severity from everywhere. And the third one is the Sun's Lord Gift, so it just gives you combat advantage and some accuracy. I think it's really good. You don't want the Wildstorm Elixir, because it will give crit severity, and you already have enough crit severity, too much. And Invocation Blessing, and like it's random, so it doesn't really matter which you get. So those are my consumables. So now for the build, it's really like the same as any other DPS build, or mostly the same. So the first one is just the Goristro's Horn, that give a bunch of critical strike, and the Azor in utility for the movement speed. I have Azor in every utility. It's so fun to just walk super fast. And also, you may know that I don't have reinforcement kits. That's because on Xbox, or I think also on PS4, there's a bug that you cannot equip reinforcement kits on all of your armor. So all of my armor doesn't have reinforcement kits, even my rings, my neck, my waist doesn't have it. So it will be patched like next Tuesday. So until then, like, just use your imagination and use whatever you want to cap your stats. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the Bone Devil's Ribcage. That just it's too good. It's the thing that every DPS should play with. And I use Tactical and Eclipse, because Eclipse is really fun when you just use all your stamina without thinking about it. It just regens, so it's really fun. I use also the Spike Defender gloves, but you can play with the other alternatives, like I was playing with the Risk Guard of Precipitation. And on Bard you attack super fast, so it's kind of good to have them equipped. If you, like, for example, you don't have the old Watermelon Sorbet, you can play with those, and you will almost see no like damage loss, because you attack so fast that the stacks are getting procced like instantly, pretty much. But I have cap power without them, so I'm using the Spike Defender gloves. It may not be the best option for the Bard, but that's what I rock right now. Yeah, also, like, the Bard was released 2 weeks ago on console, so there's some stuff that may not be optimized yet, but it's still really good. I also play with the Mastercraft set, because PC players, Mastercraft is best in slot. No matter what you think, it's not Lionheart, it's not Mirage, it's not anything else, it's Mastercraft. That is the best weapon in the game. So I use the staccato damage boost 10% because staccato is your main at will that you will use. I will show it later. I use assassins in all offensive slots and Tenebrous in one of the offensive slots. And I use Biletone because you attack so fast that Biletone procs like crazy. And I use a critical strike and recharge speed here with the assassin and tactical, of course. And for the boots, I use the Wasteland Wanderers. It just give 5% combat advantage, but I heard that the rusted boots might be better because it gives an overall 5% damage. But I just like having close to cap stats, so I'm rocking those for now. And I also use the book set. On Bard, you attack so fast that the book set procs a lot, so if you want to convince your team to use it, try to do so, but it also stacks with other frozen books, so why not having multiple of them? But you can use any kind of debuff artifact. I already leveled up some that are debuff, like the 450 artifacts that are pretty good, but I use the frozen with the book set. Also, something that is really unusual for a DPS is to play with the Toraka card deck. So basically, I use the Vistani pendant and the Vistani raiment. So what does it do, you may ask? It simply does, when you cast a damaging AoE but it only hits one target, the target will take 5% more damage for 5 seconds. This is massive on the Bard, because I will show you that there's a power that says that it's single target, but it procs the Vistani set. And there's also your at-will that is AoE that procs it, but the most important is the on-counter that procs it. And it's the dancing light. Just FYI, but I will show it later. So for the enchantment, Azor and Assassin. I'm not having I don't have a reinforcement kit, so it will be combat advantage. The ring, the red eyes glare, also no both assassin and no the reinforcement kit. Band of air. About this ring, I got super lucky. I did like 1 completion and like 5 boss runs. Like I killed the third mini boss like 5 times and I got it. So it's really lucky. So, but it will be the ring of, but the band of air will become account wide. Like you can transfer it between tunes next Tuesday if you don't already have equipped. So it will be more fun, I guess. And also the Vistani raiment, Azor, basically. And the shirt, it can be any kind of 1300. I use accuracy here, and a Tenebrous because accuracy is always good to have. And for the pants, it can be any kind of pants. I have the deflection one because that's all I had. I didn't farm much of the Granny's HE, so that's all I had as pants and shirts. So for the stats, I went into Strength and Charisma. Charisma, like 31 points, is kind of massive, and Strength, that's the stat to go. I know that a lot of people are saying like, what do I do, Magical or Strength? But Staccato is Strength, so I just go physical damage, pretty much. It might not be the best option, but that's what I rock and it works. And those are the stats without any potion, so keep that in mind. And without the reinforcement kits. So instead of going to the power, because it will take a while to explain the powers, I will just go over the boons. I don't have all the boons yet, because you know, it's pretty recent tune. So, but I am farming every day to get the boons and every week for the weekly haul of the certain campaigns. But I'm getting there, almost the final master boon. So you can take a screenshot. I have Forte and recharge speed, and all the rest is pretty basic among all of the DPSs. So just use that. And for the boons, power, but you can use whenever you want, whenever your stronghold has, because not everyone has power. And whatever match your stats. And defense and the mount speed, or I guess it would be better to use revive sickness on single target, so I'm gonna use that. For the companions, I use like 1300 companion gear, pretty basic. I got lucky, I got like critical strike accuracy twice, and I got this thing, single stat combat advantage, but you can do a pretty much any combination of artifact of equipment that just match your stats. And I use acute senses for the extra combat advantage. And I use Zuna because I don't have like the Cold Iron Warrior, and Zuna does the trick for me, so I don't really need him for now, at least. And for the companions, I use Battery on bosses, Menskin defense, the Wild Hunt discipline for the because we use encounters all the time, so having extra combat advantage because of that, it's pretty easy to get. And the Blackstone Insight for the critical chance, and the Golden Cat for the combat advantage. So really oriented towards crit and combat advantage pretty much. And percentage damage boost. So I haven't forgotten anything there. Okay. So for the mount, I use Ferocity, because Ferocity, it's kind of good to proc the Band of Air, especially in the fast attacking class that procs Ferocity like crazy. So I have more procs of the Ring of Air, but you can use any kind of other mount power that you have, like, I don't know, like accuracy, because accuracy it's pretty hard to cap, so maybe more accuracy, but whenever you want. Also for the mount, I use the Toad, but as a bard, I'm also tempted to use the Pegasus, because it gives 15% damage to everyone, and 15% forte, so it might be good to have, but if you play with it, don't expect to be top 5 DPS, because the Toad is kind of massive DPS dealer, so I tested it yesterday and I was not in the top 5 when I was using it, and it's kind of hard to use, honestly. And when I switched to Toad, I was in the top 5, so if you want to be more buffer, just use the Pegasus, the new mount. And for the little insignias, it's all mythics. Mostly everything is skill and brutality. I use 2 Assassin's Covenant. No, I lied. I used 1 Assassin's Covenant, 1 Combatant Maneuver, 2 Warlord's Inspiration, and 1 Artificer's Persuasion. And all the combination is just brutality, skill, brutality, skill, brutality, skill. Everything is either brutality or skill. Also, Combatant Maneuver. A fun fact is that Bile Thorn procs it on dummies only, but when you go in Tom or Zariel, the Bile Thorn doesn't proc the Combatant's Maneuver. So if you have it and you only use Bile Thorn to proc it, don't bother. But the Bard, the good thing about the Bard is that you have Lunge that does a stun, and the stun gives you Combatant's Maneuver. And since you have like tons of encounters with a certain feat that I will show you later, you just get infinite Combatant's Maneuver basically. So that's the thing behind that. And for the colors, I use the Stamina Gain, the Encounter Powers, the Movement Speed, the Rough 80, and the Critical Severity. But since I play Fighter and Critical Severity, it's pretty useful for me. But on the Bard, Critical Severity is like really capped by a lot. If you are new to the game, I would guess I would say to just switch that for the recharge speed color and not the critical severity. But I have it mythic, so I will just keep it for now, and it does the work. So that's all the build, all this it's pretty standard among all the DPSs. But now we will enter the big section, the powers. The powers is always like the thing that you will learn a lot here. So for the at-wills, I use Staccato and Con Elemento. Basically, Staccato is a really fast attacking at-will, and that will do your main DPS or proccing for the little performer here. So it will proc a lot of performer, and Con Elemento is just used to proc another feat, which is Battle Ostinato. I think I would just explain the feat for now, because there's a lot of mechanics with the encounters at will daily with and songs with all the feats. Okay, so basically the first is voice throw. Basically, when you do a song that is not in quick play, yeah, that's something that you will need to learn. You don't play any song in quick play if you want to maximize the bard. If you are pretty new and you're not really good doing songs, I guess quick play can be the solution for you. But the most optimized way to play the bard is to do songs yourself and not quick play them. So that's the thing with force throw. When you don't quick play a song and the tank is in range, my attacks grant him 50% of the threat they generate to the tank. So the tank basically does more aggro the more I attack. But like I saw that in ToMM, after it expires, I just take aggro because I do so much damage, and the tank, there's a lot of tanks that doesn't know how to hold aggro these days. And so that's just to help the tank. And there's also this one for the healer. It's not really good because it requires you to play the Carol, regenerating Carol, which doesn't really do much for DPS side. Like, you will lose a lot of damage if you use this song compared to Ballad of Heroes. So doing like a feat that requires you to play a song that is not good is not good. Like, it's not good. So for the second feat, I use Battlefield Ostinato. So basically, if you do an AoE at will, it buffs your single target at will, and if you use a single target at will, it buffs your AoE at will. And basically, those two buffs can be there at the same time. So you can have 20% damage at will boost on both of your at wills. So that's where the Con Elemento comes in place. Basically, if you just proc it once on the boss, you just spam Staccato, and Staccato will have 20% damage boost. So that's the thing behind that, and you do that every 12 seconds. And the second one is Elemental Medley. Basically, it gives you 10 additional magnitude when you use Con Frigo, Con Moto, and Con Brio. And this feat is pretty good, but like realistically, you will only get one stack because you will only use one of the 3 songs in a boss fight. And I use Tailwind Mambo because first of all, it's the song that I think is the easiest to type, and also it gives you the ability of range. So if you do a mechanic in a ToMM or Zariel, you can basically attack the boss in range and just proc your add-on counters and do more range attacks. So that's why I use it. But if you want to maybe buff your physical damage classes, Steel March is also pretty good. But like, that's why I don't use this feat anymore, because I would just use Con Moto, because that's Con Moto, it's with Tailwind Mambo. With Con Elemento. Yeah, there's a lot of really strange Italian names in there, but the more you pay attention to the names, the more natural it becomes. And so yeah, that's why I'm not using that anymore, but it's still a pretty good option. For the third feat, Ballad con la voce. So basically, this is when you don't quick slot your Ballad of Hero or Ballad of the Witch. Everyone in the lobby gets 5% damage if you are DPS, 5% damage reduction if you are a tank, or 5% outgoing healing if you are a healer. And I tested it earlier, and because it says party members, I thought that it will only give to the party, like your party, like the 4 other people, but it gives it to all 10 people in the trial. So that's a really good thing to use. The other thing I do is just for 1%, so it's not really great in the trial, but it can be good in a 5-man dungeon where there's only 3 DPSs, so that can be quite good. But Ballad con la voce is pretty good if you are able to compose Ballad of the Hero yourself in that quick play hit. And also a fun fact is that it doesn't give you the 5% damage bonus to yourself, it just gives it to the team. So that's why I said earlier, if you play a bard, think about the team. It doesn't give you 5% damage, so some people will be like, oh, it doesn't give me 5% damage, I will just not use it. I will just quick slot Ballad of Hero and don't give 5% damage to the team. If I do, they have more chances to beat me, right? But if you think about the team, it's a really good buff for the team, and it only lasts 15 seconds. When Ballad of the Hero lasts 20 seconds. So it's not there all the time, it's there most of the time. So just keep that in mind. The fourth one, Redoublement. allows the execution of other encounters between strike of ad libitum and multi subito, and it also increases the damage by other encounters by 10%. So basically I use ad libitum, which is a 400 magnitude, like it's just a hit on the boss, and it has a 50% chance to allow you to execute the ability again, and it cannot be proc more than 3 times. So basically, if you don't have this feat on, if you use ad libitum, you hit the target, and if you use any other kind of encounters, it will just go on cooldown if you want the 50% chance. So what you normally do without the feat is that you just press B, like I have it on B, you press B, 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 B until it doesn't have any charges left. But with the feat, you can basically press B once, do like your other encounters, and just go back to it and say, oh, is it prop? And I can just use it again. And also by doing that, you also get 10% more encounter damage in this window. And the window is really small. It's like a 2 or 3 second window. So if you hit the target, 50% chance to hit the second time, and you have 2 to 3 seconds to use the second hit. And if it procs again a third time, it's also a 2 to 3 second time to use it, because if you wait 5 seconds, it just disappears and it goes on cooldown. So that's why the Bard, you need to be quick, really quick, like pew 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 pew. So if you don't, then you will suffer in DPS. And also the other one is the martial performance, is when you do Blaze Flamenco, Tailwind Mambo, or Steel March, and it hits, the initial activation hits the target, all of your attacks get 10 additional magnitude for the duration of the song. But the thing about that, like in practice and in AoE, it will be quite good, because most of the time I use my Tailwind Mambo in AoE, and it hits a lot of mobs, so martial performance will be quite good. But on single target, you don't activate your Tailwind Mambo often on the boss. You pop it like during downtime, like before the fight, just to have the song already ready, and not waste any performance, because when you are out of combat, it regens pretty fast. So, and also when it expires, most of the time you don't have the performance to proc it again, and proc Ballad of the Hero, you must choose one of the two, and Ballad of the Hero is the most optimal choice, because it gives you 100 magnitude on everything, so it's kind of the best one of the two. So if you want to choose Ballad of the Hero, so this feat, it doesn't do much in trial, because you don't hit the target with your initial hit of Tailwind Mambo, and the initial hit does the 350 magnitude in AoE, so it's not only single target, but in AoE that will be pretty strong martial performance. And for the last one, that's the big one. That's the feat that if you are like, oh, I'm leveling up the Bard, but it feels like not really good, I don't really like it. Hit level 20, the moment you unlock it, you will love the Bard. Basically, your at-will and encounter powers now have a chance to make one of your encounter power at random able to be activated, regardless of whatever it is on cooldown or not. And this improvised version is slightly weaker, which is 50% weaker than a normal encounter. So basically all 3 encounters have a chance to be instantly reprocable, so it's half the damage. So it's 400 magnitude, this thing will be 200 magnitude, and ad libitum will be also 200 magnitude. And a strange interaction is Dancing Light. It's not 50% chance, it's not 50% of the damage, it's actually 33%. I don't know why that it's different, or maybe Dancing Light is just bug, but it's way lower than half the damage, like 33%. So you just use your staccato, that's why you use staccato, it's just to proc your performer all the time, the time you can get, and it's basically like the Wizard daily, but on the Bard. You can just pop all of your encounters, XYB, 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 XYB all the time, and it's really fun to do. And the second part of this boon is when you reach 30 stacks of doing improvise on counter, like every time you have improvise stuff, it gives you 1 stack, and you need 30 stacks so that your daily encore switch to grandstand. But the thing is, 30 stacks is really, really long, especially in a trial where you just finish the trial in 9 minutes. 30 stacks is just untenable. So either they just lower the stacks that it takes, or it's just a pointless second half of the boon. The most important one is just the improvised version. It's the only thing that matters. Also, I tested on the other power that when you have 30 stacks and use the daily encore, you will deal double the damage or healing of the triggered song. However, it doesn't work on Ballad of the Hero. So you may think that, oh, I will just wait to get 30 stacks, proc Ballad of the Hero. Instead of 100 magnitude on every single hit, I will get 200 magnitude on every single hit. But that doesn't work like that. It doesn't give any bonus boost, pretty much. It's just pointless to have this. But the powers, the feat says, does not affect final damage for Ballad of the Hero or Ballad of the Witch. And the final damage will only be the 800 magnitude, right? It will only be for the 800 magnitude and not for the 100 magnitude. So either they patch it, but if they patch it, the part will be pretty incredible, even more than now. And the other feat is Lore Master. Personally, I haven't really checked this boon, how it works, but this power just seems too slow for my liking. And just using Performer, just the quickness of your encounters, that's what I really like about it. I will not want to play like a cleric DPS that just use encounters half the time and use strategic rotation. I just want to spam everything. That's personal preference. So that's the song, that's everything. So with all the feats, I will use, like I said, Tailwind Mambo. Tailwind Mambo does a tornado, so it's a range attack. So when you do certain kind of mechanics, you can just yeet out of the group but still attack the boss. But if you use Steel March, you cannot do that, so you just stand there doing nothing. You're like, I wish I would do damage if you do a mechanic, but with Tailwind Mambo you can continue to attack it non-stop. And as you can see, I have it pinned. It's my pin 1, and that's really important that it's not quick slot. It's like you just need practice. Like I'm pretty quick. Like I take like half a second to compose a song, and I don't even have macro. So the more you do it, the better you will get. So, and most of the time you use Tailwind Mambo before a fight, like before entering the Zariel or the Tom boss fight, because it can also be activated with Ballad of the Hero. Ballad of the Hero is the second encounter that you need, the second song that you need to activate if you want to really increase your damage by a lot. Sadly here, like, I cannot activate it out of combat, but I would just go on the boss, go in combat, and as you can see it's a bit slower, but you need really to really like pop it yourself. Don't quick play it, just practice doing the composition yourself, and it will give everyone else 5% damage, not you, but everybody else. And also, so that's the 2 songs. Ballad of the Witch is just AoE, but even in AoE, the final 400 magnitude just seems too slow. Like the mobs would just be dead before it hits. So even in AoE, I will use Ballad of the Hero, because even if it's AoE, most of the time there's only one target that is hard to kill that we need to focus. So I use also Ballad of the Hero on AoE, and Tailwind Mambo also on AoE. So I hope I'm clear with the songs. For the mechanics, you get 150 magnitude, and every time you do a song it costs you 100 magnitude. So you cannot have like 2 of them activated at the same time, or is it? I will show you with the class feature. So basically, Mystifying Strikes is the big thing, is the biggest thing ever, is the overpowered feat for the bard. Basically, like I don't have ACTs, but from what I saw from PC players, Mystifying Strikes does like 30 to 40% of your damage. It's just massive. Like your attacks now have a 5% chance to apply the effect of Mystify, and when there's another one that attacks the boss, it just does a 400 magnitude, and it doesn't seem to have a cooldown, or the cooldown is really low to activate it again. So that's a no-brainer. You use that, and it also heals the target, but we don't really notice the heal much. And the second one will be Musician Flow. But the thing is, on Bard there's a strange interaction that gives you the class feature Musician's Flow for free. You don't even need to have it activated. Like, if you do some songs, sometimes you will see that certain songs cost half of the thing that it requires. Like now it costs 100. But I think it's because it costs 50. It was really quick, but some of the songs cost 50%, even if you don't have it active. So you don't need this feat. It's a really good feat, class feature, but you don't need it. You just use Masterful Performance. It's more of a team buff, of course. It's if you use a ToMM Mambo, which increases the damage bonus of my nearby allies by 2%, and an additional 2% for projectile damage. So pretty much, if it works as I think it is, it gives 50% of the added effect. So basically, instead of 20 magnitude on every single at-will and encounter, I get 30, and instead of giving 2% to the team, I give 3% to the team and 3% projectile damage. I hope it works like that. If it doesn't, let me know. If it only works on one of the two added effect, let me know. But I think that's the best for the team buff. Of course, the team buff. Okay? But if you are a bit more selfish, I guess, you can play with Advancing Blade, which gives you personal damage whenever you do your at-will. And you use your at-will a lot on the Bard, so that's a pretty good class feature. And there's also Sforzando, that when you do a song you get more damage, but I think it's a lesser version than Advanced Blade, because you don't always do songs in combat. It will not be 100% of the time activated. So I think I forgot to talk about the daily. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I'm missing. So basically, the daily on Bard is terrible. It doesn't have any kind of damage to you, like magnitude on them. So it's not really strong daily, I would say. The daily that most people use is Encore. Basically, when you do a song and you press your daily, it will just reactivate the song, the last played song. So basically, if you use Ballad of the Hero in combat, you wait 15-20 seconds. After it expires, you use Encore, and it will just be there a second time. So you can just have the effect of Ballad of the Hero a second time, and you don't waste performance by doing so. That's the more traditional approach, I guess. But what I like is Inspiration. Even though like I kind of lose performance a lot by just popping Ballad of the Hero, I give myself 15% more damage and someone else in my team 15% more damage. So in a team of sweats with a lot of damage, 15% it's pretty good. And it also gives me 15%. So that's the daily I will use all the time for burst damage, at least. If you want more sustain, I guess Encore with Ballad of the Hero will be maybe good, but maybe better. And also the third daily is lower, and it just identifies the target's weakness, increase the critical severity of attacks against it by 10%. So the question about that is, does it go over cap with critical severity? Yes, it does, but how it actually works is it decrease the critical avoidance of the target. so it doesn't increase the critical severity of everyone. So in theory, in practice, it goes beyond 90% crit severity. So if you want a more buff for the entire team, it might be better than inspiration, but that's kind of the testing that I'm not there yet. And also the added effect of this, if it grants you physical lore or magic lore or projectile lore. So basically, when you do your Tailwind Mambo, all of your attacks transform into projectile damage. Everything. So basically, if you are lucky and it grants you projectile lore, you are good. You do 10% more damage for 30 seconds. However, if it hits physical lore or magic lore, you're in big trouble. You don't get any damage. You just stand there. You don't get benefit from it. So it's one in 3 chance to get 10% more damage. So finally, I just use inspiration for now. Maybe lore will be better. I will have to test more. And for the general feats, I use the Drow. The Drow is the new best in slot class, everyone. If you want to switch class, use a Drow. It's a team buff. Team buff. Not personal, because a lot of every other races is only for yourself. That's selfish. Think about the team. Maybe they will nerf this Drow soon. Maybe not. Who knows? But it's like the new armor break era. So switch to Drow. Everybody will be happy. And you will burst everything down super quick. And it also gives you 5% crit deflect severity. We don't care about that. Increase passive action point regeneration. That doesn't really work well because the AP gain on Bard is trash. You get a daily every 2 minutes. It's really terrible. And critical tuning, if you do a song or that is not in quick play, you see the pattern. There's a lot of things that is not quick play, that if you quick play you lose damage, and that gives you 10% critical severity for 10 seconds. And this thing that also requires you to not quick play the songs is truly inspired. It gives you 10% more damage whenever you do a song. And when I mean that the Bard doesn't have a good AP gain, I mean the DPS side. I saw a video where the healer Paragon has insane AP regen, but the DPS Bard has terrible AP regen. Just nuance there. And I just play the DPS, I don't play the healer part, so that will be my testing for now. So I hope I covered everything. The part that requires a lot of practice to do, especially with the song. The more you do the songs, the more precise you become, and sometimes it can be hard in combat, like when everybody plays with like just pop artifact. You would be like, I'm just doing a song really quick, just stand there while I do a song. But the quicker you become, the better it will be. So I think that's pretty much it. So I hope I haven't forgotten anything. I know that there's a lot of different kind of strange thing that doesn't work, or it's really strange on the Bard, and I hope I covered everything that I use at least. And I did a Zariel video where I didn't add much stuff to begin with, and now I have like the Band of Air, and so I do really high damage. So Bard is mainly a buff class, but it doesn't mean that it's a buffer that it does no damage. So I know that some people will be like, oh, it's a buffer, then it's trash DPS, but that's not the case. The main objective is to buff the team, but it also do really good damage. You will probably see a lot of Bard beat you if you don't pay attention. So just keep that in mind. Bard is a buffer and a DPS. Not only a buffer, not only a DPS, but both. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have questions, or if you think that something I use is not optimal, you can leave it in the comment section, or you can join my Discord and just talk about it in Discord. So see you to another video, guys. Bye bye.
Facing Harrowstone here in its own territory is dangerous. Beyond that, he cannot be trusted.
I have aggro. The board has aggro. I repeat, the board has aggro. No, I'm gonna die. Oof. The board has aggro the boss. How is that possible? When I do a song, 50% of my aggro is converted to the tank. Does that mean that my aggro is over 9,000? I have aggro again. I won the jackpot once again. Ooh, Mystico. The Taraka artifact is in the Barovia campaign, and you need all. No, it's not there. It's in useful item, Taraka deck box, and you need all the cards. You need to be a Yu-Gi-Oh card collector. Let's see if I will get lucky. No, I got unlucky. No.
Feel
got lucky.
Feel the raging tempest! I'll freeze you to the bone! I haven't had a workout like this in ages. There will be no escape. Feel the raging tempest. I'll burn you all to ash. I'll freeze you to the bone.
Oh, I think I was about to slid off the edge. Did I see someone fell? Yes, I got lucky.